Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Crypto Traders Arena. It's Tuesday, July 25th, and this is a market recap video that I do 5 days a week for the members of our group. And I guess on Tuesdays, we're going to start making this one public. So I'll be back every Tuesday for the foreseeable future at this time, which is basically the New York stock market close. So I'm just wrapping up my trading day for today. See if we can talk a few things real quick for everybody. Maybe look at some altcoins, and if anybody has any requests, feel free to throw some names in the chat here. Hey, Paul, how's it going? Any requests you guys have, feel free to call them out, and I'll take a look at them. But before that, I think I'll just jump into general market overview really quick, and maybe just start by mentioning the current news events we have coming up. We got Forex Factory up here on the screen, and not much going on today in the U.S. And it was consumer confidence here this morning, a little bit after the New York Open, but really the main events tomorrow with the FOMC statement and interest rate announcement. So that's at noon my time tomorrow, which is like the stock market close, I guess. And or I'm sorry, that's not true. That's 2 hours before the close. So yeah, I'll be in the middle of the day. So of course that's a big event for the markets in general. Not going to really comment on what I think is going to happen. I would just say that be wary of volatile markets. If you are trading futures or trading anything, scalping, whatnot, I would expect some volatility, and probably best to just sit that out. Me personally, I probably won't even trade at all tomorrow. Well, as far as like my scalping plan on trading the indexes, but I don't know. Altcoins probably not as affected. Bitcoin probably will be affected, but usually altcoins, maybe a little bit, but typically we see some volatility. So if you're working a tight stop, you'll probably get stopped out. So just keep that in mind if you are scalping. And of course, if you're already like following along with your plan, hopefully you already accounted for news events and whether or not you'll act during them or not. But anyhow, FOMC tomorrow. And I think really what's going on the rest of the week while I got this up here. Unemployment claims on Thursday too. So there is some news stacked up here. Friday we got what's going on here on Friday? We do have some red flag events. I usually on Forex Factory, I'm mostly concerned with the red flags. The lesser impact ones aren't really a concern to me, and I also mostly only focus on the U.S. events. But of course, if you're trading the London session, and you might look at that a little closer. But and then we have a University of Michigan consumer sentiment on Friday. So basically a full week of news for the rest of the week. So keep that in mind. But moving on, I'll just maybe make a couple comments about the broader market, starting with the DXY. And really just, I don't know if anybody that was watching our show on Sunday or any of my streams last week and this week, nothing's really changed with the dollar here. We, caught a nice bounce off of a reasonable location, just this ABCD PRZ, sorry, excuse me. And, basically coming down against some support here that I had drawn this line. Strong bounce, and now we're just kind of, back in the range, and I guess playing out scenario number A letter A, or I had drawn these two yellow lines, I don't know, 4 or 5 days ago, whenever that was, and I basically was just postulating that, like, we either get rejected at the range lows again as we try to get back inside the range, and then come down and hit this 61.8 fib level, because I do think that's kind of like a magnet, That's the beginning of the reload zone here, and 61.8 fib. So wouldn't be surprised if that still has to get hit. And I mean, for weeks and weeks, I've been talking about the dollar being in a downtrend. And I do think getting down into this green box at some point seems reasonable to me. Just a question of when that happens. Of course, this sort of dead cat bounce looking to me. I mean, it is a little W here. There is a little daily W, but there's not a lot of structure there to work with. So it's kind of dead cat bounce to me, almost V bottom-ish really, but nonetheless, it looks like we kind of came back up into the next level of resistance. So first, the bottom of the range that we had been trapped in for a while was like resistance number one, and we did get back inside of it, and now we're kind of coming up into this M top here at 101.92, and I do think there's some resistance there, but ultimately I think we're just going to kind of grind into the 200 period moving average as it kind of continues lower. And so wherever we do hit that, that's sort of the moment of truth for the DXY, in my opinion. If we get on the other side of it and start putting in bullish structure, then yeah, I could see moves higher up into upside objectives, maybe a 50% level of this range, maybe even higher up in the reload zones, maybe even all the way up against this, the old M top. But that's not yet. That would be, we have to get through this 200, because as long as this 200 is rolled over like this and pointing down, I consider the dollar in a downtrend. And it's until that's broken, then I'll just continue to see it that way. And I mean, you could do other things too. If you like trend lines, maybe you draw a trend line off of this M top here, and it'll show basically that same kind of area. So, we'll probably kind of grind sideways into that until we see what happens there. And then when we get there, any sort of M's against it probably will project lower into the, reload zone, but any W's on the other side of it, and that means we're probably going to move higher. Personally, it's just a gut feeling. I think we're headed lower, but that's just me. I also just had this RSI potential, scenario playing out, but this is going to require a new low to sort of set up the divergence. But you can see how RSI didn't actually get oversold. And also, there's nothing to really work with in RSI here. So, I mean, it would make sense to me to see this roll over a bit. And if we start creating divergences down, like maybe some W does have to come in down here, setting up a divergence in RSI at the same time. But we'll just watch. But for the moment, of course, the stock market's kind of been a little heavier the last few days as the dollar bounced. But today, the stock market looks like it was bouncing pretty decent. So, the more the dollar rolls over, the more uppy the stock market will probably enjoy. And I'd like to say Bitcoin too, but Bitcoin hasn't really seemed to be maintaining inverse correlation with the DXY as well as the stock market has lately. But we'll see how that all plays out. Anyhow, that's the dollar. I think we'll probably roll over more, but we'll see what happens. If the stock market does truly start topping out, then I would expect us to start getting on the other side of this 200 period moving average. So speaking of the stock market, though, we'll look at the S&P 500 really quick. That's the ES futures, and really, I'll just the only comment here is it's the same thing. Basically, Paul and I and everybody else that talks to the group. Have basically all just said wait for 3-bar fractal minimum to think this thing's rolling over. We're in a super strong uptrend without a doubt. Moving average is still pointing up, almost getting to like a parabolic point where we'll see if this thing actually could maybe even go parabolic and start taking out the old highs. I could see it happen, and it's not yet, but either way, we've come a long way. That's a pretty straight up move. And no breakdown here yet, but we still don't have any kind of like candlestick pattern. Like, this green line would represent the breakdown of a 3-bar fractal. But of course, if we go and take the high out today, let's see, we're at 4608.75 and the high is 4609.25. So, we didn't take it out yet, but if we do take out that high, then this fractal isn't even potential anymore. But you can see they never broke it down. Suppose if we stall out right here, we could put in an M, which would also be a structural top signal. So like maybe this little M could come in if we dump into the FOMC tomorrow, for example. If we can't take out this high, that would be a decent market structure top, something like that. It's just not yet. And even if that happens, I still think pullbacks are buying opportunities. So like, I would just be looking for places that support could be found if we do roll over. And I mean, this gap looks like a magnet to me for one. So maybe we could get all the way down to 4304. If we do, I would imagine there's going to be some buying interest down there. That's like a key high here, which, that level here, this test of the 200 was sort of like bearish confirmation of the downtrend in the stock market back then. But of course, that was back last August. But nonetheless, that's sort of like the next, that's like a key support. I think there's probably going to be a lot of bullish interest there if we even get down that far. But that's pretty good ways to come off on the S&P. So, that'd be one area. I'm not seeing a lot of support above there. I mean, we could come back and check these highs. This is a sort of a W bounce off there. And of course, the 13 EMA has been holding up until now. So as long as that's holding, just the party's on, in my opinion, still. Now we are starting to see potential divergences, in RSI, OBV, and basically a lot of indicators. I think if I turn on this divergence indicator, you can see 7 potential divergences. So they're not confirmed, but there's 7. And we did get 2 confirmed, or 1 confirmed, sorry, back here. But, you can see, well, end of story is, we came up into a location that's reasonable for starting to think about shorts or market rolling over. And we have indicator momentum starting to roll over, and we don't have market structure. So no top yet, but certainly into a place where we could start thinking about tops. But again, like, sort of general thinking is rally through August into September and then maybe roll over then. So for the moment, I think we're still pushing up. And the NASDAQ broke down the 3-bar fractal, but then just caught solid support off the 13 EMA. So no real difference. The NASDAQ came up into sort of more of a key level by actually tagging 88.6 or almost tagging it. Let's see, did we actually hit it? 16.06275, 16.051. Yeah, so we actually ticked through 88.6, off the old highs. That's a pretty significant level. Not a huge surprise we got rejected there. People were probably stepping in and shorting that level. And then, of course, we immediately got rejected. And we did, in fact, confirm a 3-bar fractal, but we haven't really closed below that level. And we also just bounced off the 13. So, again, 13 EMA is pointing up. The 30 MA is pointing up. The 200 MA is pointing up. So this is an uptrend, obviously. I mean, to be fair, the W is way down here, though. So, like, what do we usually, when we see a market like this and we're trying to get long, we're looking for deep pullbacks against the W. So there's nothing you can do here per se, like in terms of like buying this. I don't know, like on a daily chart, that's kind of, you're a little too late here. But nonetheless, hasn't broken down yet. That's the only point I'm trying to make. So yeah, DXY is bouncing right now. And of course you can see the down couple days in the stock market here as the DXY bounced. But, I kind of expect the DXY to roll over still and this to churn higher. Of course, I can't guarantee that's going to happen. That's just sort of what I think is going to happen. If anything, I think that it's hard to call tops, and like a bull run like this has a tendency to grind a lot farther than you think. It can be difficult to, people are going to want to step in front of this and they're going to get run over. So be careful shorting. That said, like, it's too late to long. So is what it is. Quite a run, though. The crypto hasn't obviously Bitcoin took off a bit, more like a month ago, but I can't say that crypto's really had the same momentum of the stock market. It seems it's been a little weaker, and it hasn't really been following the dollar inversely like we would expect. But I'll just mention the Russell 2000 small cap stocks really quick, just because I've been talking about it and I like to follow it, but not a huge change here. Just kind of came up into a reasonable objective here against this gap, which is like the range high. Essentially, the range high is up here actually, but like we're getting up into range highs. And I don't know, for a couple weeks I've been sort of watching for this ABCD. I do think we're going to test the highs here, and I do think that maybe like shit stocks are going to have their day in the sun. Maybe if we can get, if this index can start trending higher, like right now we're trapped in this range here, but if we can, get above and start trending higher, then I think that'll be just a representation of the opportunities that might be available in like small cap stocks. And so no breakdown here, but also at the top of the range. So, I mean, people are going to be shorting up here for sure. And I could even see taking FUs shorts off the highs here. And especially this ABCD comes in. But for the moment, all I see is like a strong consolidation W here in the midpoint of this ABCD, and we're just churning higher. So RSI not even overbought yet, and still kind of holding this trend line, and OBV still generally pointing higher. So I just don't see anything toppy about this per se. Just location's kind of sketchy for, it's a place where you can expect shorts to start coming in. And I should mention that a 3-bar fractal did actually fire here too, though. Yesterday it actually ticked through. It's kind of ugly, but there, this was the high, so these two candles to the sides of it would make the fractal, and then we did just barely tick through and then bounce right away. So similar to the other indexes, and generally uppy for the most part. I thought I'd be shorting more here, but like on the day on the day trading front, but as it turns out, I was taking longs today. Um, but anyway, moving on to Bitcoin. Bitcoin hasn't done shit really, but finally did kind of break down, and it's just sort of going along like I would expect it to. I mean, I've been talking about a dump into 38.2s, which is just hit and bounced. I had drawn a 38.2 range off of range high here and range low here, which is like the bottom, the last bottom when the BlackRock kind of news came in and Bitcoin just ripped straight up. And so I see this as like a potential ABCD. And I did think pulling back into 38.2, 50% level around here. Also this key high here at 28,400. I feel like that's a decent place to see like a W come in to set up the next leg higher. And that whole thesis is basically just based on the fact that I think there's a lot of confluence up here at 35,000 to hit. I do think like a summer rally could take us up there potentially. That's a lot of ground to cover, but Bitcoin did it here in like a few days. But like, in the next 5 weeks, could we get up here? Seems possible. At the moment, things look a little heavy. So I don't know where this bottom is going to come in, but I like the 35,000 area mostly just because of, zoomed out a little bit, drawn a fib off the old highs, takes us to 38.2 being 35,900. And then the head and shoulders target is 35,100, which is basically just, replicating the size of the head, So I think this is a very much confirmed head and shoulders. And I think the target is at 35,100. So there's another reason, plus just 35,000 being big fat round number is a third reason. And then now you can't really call this ABCD objective yet because it's not really in play, but I like the idea of that, the confluence of like tagging like Collins pump chaser zone type area. And then for those of you who know Colin, that makes sense to me. So that's kind of what I'm looking for. I suppose on the bear side, like if things look a little heavy at the moment, and you can see the RSI divergence is very much confirmed now, as we did tick to new highs, and that set up the possibility of that divergence. So as we move to a new high through there, you can see RSI M'd out, and now we're very much in divergence. And we also lost the 50 line of RSI, and now we're just moving lower. And OBV itself is also now broken down for the most part. And I think even on Binance, you can see an OBV divergence. It's not on Coinbase, but right here, Binance USDT chart has a divergence. So without a doubt, this weakness is in there. There is some weakness here, and that's shown by the breakdown. But currently, right now, we've lost the range. If you were to call this the tight range we were kind of in for the last month or so. And that 29,500 is sort of the bottom of the range, and we lost that. So like any sort of FU moves against this low here didn't really come in. And now we're just putting in a doji today. And I suppose if you were going to drill down a little bit, like, is this a good place to be hunting longs? I think I said the same thing yesterday, but I'll just repeat myself because I think it's reasonable. But like, here we came into 38.2. And so of course, if we stay above 38.2 here and put in any kind of W, that's essentially what I've drawn anyway. And that kind of that sort of supports that the uptrend's still intact, and that maybe we do have that ABCD. Because anytime 38.2 is tested but not lost, that just confirms the bull market or bear market if it's the other way around. But in this case, we're in an uptrend right here, at least in this time frame. And if we stay above 38.2 or even oscillate around it, like I've kind of drawn this whole range down to 50% level, that just suggests that the bull's still on. On the flip side, though, if we lose it and start M'ing out more, then we probably have to head lower. And there's just like open air right here. So like if we do lose this key level, for example, at 28.4, there's just a giant fair value gap right there. So we could end up coming all the way down to like 26,800 is the next support. I kind of see the next support down here in this consolidation area. This is sort of like a weird looking head and shoulders to me. And the neckline is somewhere in there, like around, like 27,000. So, we start M'ing out and losing the 38.2s, probably have to come down farther, but the same logic will still apply. Wherever the next W comes in, I think it's still like pullbacks or buying opportunities kind of thing. I'm not really thinking of like Bitcoin coming all the way back down just yet. And the reason for that is the 200 period moving average is just so, once a asset does this, in my opinion, like we've completed a bear market, broke through the 200, came back and checked it and continued up. That's an uptrend to me. That's a long-term, daily chart uptrend. So I'm not really looking for that 200 to get breached too much. Like if we lose it, I do expect W's to come in and it to grind above it. It's just like if we start seeing situations like you can kind of see even back here, like we were in a ripping bull, dumped through it, but really just found a W right away and got above it and still had more bull market. Bitcoin still had more bull to get through. And then it was really on the test right here that the party was over. We lost the 200 again, came and checked it, and then had to go into a downtrend. This is a very different situation because one, location's way better. We're not in a parabolic bull run like this. We haven't done this epic, huge straight run up. We're just basing off of the lows here in good location. 16,000 was like a killer level, just 78.6 off of the whole range. So like we already completed the bear market. So basically I'm expecting this 200 to more or less hold. Like if we do start emming out on the other side of it, and also this trend line that I drew too, that basically just mimics the 200 a bit. If we start losing that, then sure, we're probably gonna have to come down and test the lows. But as long as we're just sort of grinding higher highs and higher lows, I don't see Bitcoin crapping out just yet. We could see some epic pullback because Bitcoin loves the epic dumps. But, you can see the last dumps got bought up pretty quick. So we'll see what happens. I mean, I'm not trying to, I don't know. I don't want to get like overly bullish. If people are new and stuff, I'm not saying go buy Bitcoin right here. There's a difference. So I'm just saying we're in an uptrend. Now, this is kind of a weird place to buy, but that was kind of a long way of saying I do think pullbacks are buying opportunities. So if we do pull back against these lows, then I'd be looking for W's to potentially add longs. And I like the idea of a long, like a swing long off of this sort of area, 28,000. Depending on, I'm not going to front run this W though. I'm going to wait for something structurally to come in here to suggest higher. So hopefully you can understand that. But in the short term, kind of weak. I like that we've dumped into FOMC. It's kind of weird that the stock market's not really, maybe we dump a little bit before tomorrow. I'd prefer that these markets are heading down into that event. That would be more bullish in my opinion. If we run up into that event, we'll probably have to roll over afterwards. But, Bitcoin is dumping into the event, so we'll see what happens. But I think you'd be wise to wait for structure before you get too bullish, because like I was saying, it could come down lower. There is just this open, a lot of unfinished business in these two big candles here. Anyhow, so that's Bitcoin. And then Ethereum, what can I say about Ethereum? It's really, there's not too much to say other than just same old story. We're in the middle of the range. I see this as a range with the 2142 as the top and 1620 as the bottom. This is the range, and we're sitting right in the middle of it at 1858 right now. So no trades to be taken there. That's just in the middle of the range. Did get nice shorts off of the 78.6 level if you were hunting that. And you can see how we're sort of squeezing against the 200 though. So there might be something coming down the road for Ethereum as we kind of triangle out or something against these. I could see some sort of bouncing around in here, and then it'll have to W out to move higher. And if it M's out, then we probably have to come back down into reload zones, which will be epic buy opportunities in my opinion. If Ethereum can get back down into the 1400s and stuff, that's a good place to think about buying, especially off of the old W right there. What's that? 1350. So, but I wouldn't even think about that until I see what happens to this 200, because much like Bitcoin, we've just turned the corner now, and we're just heading higher. Also, this trend line is just, right at the 200 and just right off of these lows. You can see how we've just been making higher highs and higher lows against that trend line this whole time. And so until we lose that, I can't call tops here. And of course, this isn't a place where we don't want to, this isn't a place to think about tops in Ethereum over the long term, Like our general thesis is still very much that this year is sort of accumulation year, and we're going to buy altcoins throughout this whole time and expecting sort of like generally sidewaysy kind of rangy altcoin market with plenty of opportunity to accumulate. And I think this sort of, you know, is still on. It's just that's all intact. Like even if Ethereum had to range around here for the next 6 to 8 months, that'd probably be good for sort of long-term investment type altcoin buying and stuff. So we'll just have to see. But really, all I'm saying here is, as we get closer to this 200, this is closer than Bitcoin. We're going to see some sort of event here. That's probably, you'll probably start seeing like Bollinger squeezes and stuff like that as we kind of, you can see the moving averages are like crossed now. The short and medium term moving averages crossed, and we even checked that, and now we're heading down. And so, as we just kind of consolidate against the 200 here, we should probably expect some sort of move on the other side. So I'll be watching for that. But maybe we'll look at Bitcoin dominance for the hell of it, because we've been watching that just to see what kind of altcoin picture we can draw for ourselves. And I think the general thinking with Bitcoin dominance is relatively favorable for altcoins at the moment. So this is a great example of 38.2 being tested for sure. Like, let me look at a weekly chart, for example. Let's see here. Yeah, just simply drawing your fibs off of the top down to the bottom here, which is that low, and you can see 38.2 was painted at 52% dominance, which coincidentally also is the 200 period weekly moving average right now. And we just ran right up into 38.2, got immediately rejected. So the bull is on pause, you could say, in dominance until we can start establishing consolidation and uppiness above 38.2. Which hasn't happened. So a good example of 38.2 rejecting, and it even M'd out here, and now we're just kind of sitting, here the last 2 weeks, just putting in dojis, which is good. We did break out of this, consolidation range that Bitcoin had, or dominance had been in since like May of 21. We'd basically just been trapped in this range here that whole time, and we got outside of it. Now we hit 38.2 and we're coming back, and so I would expect to test it kind of like the DXY, but on the reverse. Do we bounce off of the top of the range now and stay above the range, which would be sort of bad for altcoins, if you will, or do we accept back into the range and have to move back towards like 50% levels and stuff like that, maybe even lower, and that would sort of set up a chance for altcoins to move higher, or to have a little bit of an alt season, I guess you'd say. So we'll see. Right now, the prognosis is, there's alts kind of have the green light. It's just, and some of them are kind of trying, and they were trying pretty hard like a few days ago, and then they kind of crapped out a bit. And then now, I am seeing a little bit of green on just this list here, but they're kind of waffling. But there are things like Doge, for example. We were talking about Doge a lot today. It's up 10% on the day. So there is a window for altcoins to rally as dominance kind of pulls back here. And maybe we'll look at ETH BTC for fun too, just to get another kind of look at like sort of intermarket analysis of altcoins. Sure looks a lot like Ethereum US dollar, actually, funny enough. But I see M's. I do see that M right there confirmed. I see the 200 down here, and I see the moving averages kind of pointing down here. So I think coming down and testing the 200 here is probably likely. And I do see kind of a larger M potentially coming in. And so if you're I guess if you're an alt bull, you probably want to see this be a little bit more uppy, but I don't know exactly how reliable that is. But I suppose there can be some correlation drawn between like bullish ETH BTC is bullish for altcoins. But when I look at it here, dominance shows a better view, because dominance going down is also bullish for altcoins. This looks like it still needs to grind down, and even like months ago, I was kind of like thinking maybe there's some sort of ABCD like this coming in, and so I do think something like that could be in store, and we do have to move lower, against that high here. We could draw like a reload zone off of those lows, and you can see like sorry, I was just getting a little distracted there, which I'm trying to remind myself to make sure YouTube's all good, because I've had some production issues lately. Hopefully my mic's loud enough, by the way, too. I don't know if I already mentioned that, but yesterday my mic was really low. Um, anyhow, so what am I saying here? I'm just saying Ethereum versus Bitcoin kind of looks like it wants lower, so that's not so great for alts, I guess. But we'll see. You know, there is some sort of consolidation coming in here. Maybe it's going to try to get higher up, but I do see the potential for lower dips here. This is a weekly chart, of course, so I don't know if we zoom in a little bit. Like the daily, you can see us trying a W here, so we'll see what happens there, but we'll move on to some altcoins actually and just sort of maybe see if we can find some that are worth buying. And I think that there are like I already mentioned Doge, so we'll take a look at Doge first because I'm just curious. And I think yeah, like Paul and some of those guys were in there trading Doge today. And I think it looks generally good. Now it does look like some of these. I see a lot of altcoins that are kind of looking sort of V bottomish. I mean, there is a W there, so it is a W. So I do see a W kind of in there, and I do see that we came down and tested the old lows, so I like that. And I also see OBV not in divergence. I would have liked to have seen a divergence here on those moves, in that move to a low. We didn't get a divergence there, but we did get a nice solid W kind of going with price, and now OBV's cranking up. And now we've actually broken through the 200, so, you know, same story as I was talking about trends changing, you know, like it kind of looks to me like the trend is changing in Doge from a bear market, very much bear market under the 200, very bearish, to like starting to get above it and consolidating above it and now oscillating around it as it kind of goes flat. And now it's just barely starting to turn up. And so usually what I expect is, you know, this thing will break out however high it's going to break out and then come back and check it as it kind of keeps going. And if we can stay above it, then we'll probably start an uptrend. If we have to kind of oscillate around it more, it just sort of means it's not ready yet. So Paul's saying 4% risk on spot market with soft stop loss. Yeah, so yeah, it sounds like Paul's swing trade in Doge, and just trying to see if he can catch this bounce or this pop, and it does look like it wants to pop, right? So like I was saying, there is W's in there, and we broke out, you know, I don't know, 70 cents range, and now we're sitting at 80 cents. So who knows how high this can go. I think if you're trying to buy Doge, you're probably best to just draw your reload zones wherever the top comes in. Could be up here, could be right here, and just you know, hunt 61.8 and below is probably like, that's good location. At least you're kind of chasing it right here. We are coming right up into the old M. You know, we basically have gotten up into this M top here, which is a little bit of resistance, and you could even do things like maybe draw a trend line off of I mean, I guess this would be valid to draw this trend line there, because that is a giant M that actually confirmed on this ugly red candle. So we've basically gotten on the other side of the trend line, but not really a W. But that's good. So that's not really resistance per se. That's more like support now. So it looks good. I guess for me personally, it's like you can't chase it here is all I'd say. If you're long from lower grade, or if you're zoomed in and scalping Doge or something, I don't know, maybe you can find a trade, but I don't really like location where it's at right now. It's just a question of how high does it pop here? Because usually when we break through the 200, like you can kind of see here, it gave you like no chance of entry. It just ripped through. But that's what I expect to see once it breaks. It's like open air above the 200 once it breaks through. And so, you know, and then we came right back down and checked it, and it became support. And then we sort of had to lose it, as there was still more bearishness left. But, you know, here, do we see something similar where it just kind of shoots up a good clip? It could happen. So if we are if this summer rally, that kind of gets back to the summer rally, like, is there a summer rally or not? So far, this looks kind of summer rally-ish, right? Like, it's July 25th today. Doge is looking pretty uppy. Kind of expect uppiness through August, and then stock market probably roll over in September. Crypto probably rolls over into the end of the year kind of thing. But, you know, hopefully we can see some sort of mini alt season through August. And I think this supports that. So that's good. And Doge is a pretty good metric to watch. In the bigger picture, man, I do love Doge in general. Just, you know, OBV grinding higher. I was in there just nibbling off of these lows here as it dipped down. I think I'm averaged in at like 68 or something like that. So that's cool. Maybe I even bang a double off by the time this resolves, which would be quite a bit higher. Well, I should say 6.5 cents, not 68. But anyway, kind of V bottoming it sort of looks is the only thing. So good trade, but maybe not the best location to go buy. See if we have CVX. People are asking about CVX. Let's see what CVX has. I guess we'll look at it here on Binance. I think Paul's in here buying against the lows, which makes sense. Like obviously location's pretty good here. We're all the way back down against like key lows, and we've basically been sort of, this is the low from the bear market. And we, you could see what happened here. This is why we love buying against lows like this. Like when a market's just completely washed out, and then it just, it established a nice low, which sort of created a range. On this bounce, we created a new potential range. And, this is kind of weird, this wick. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't even show up on other exchanges. But either way, whatever happened there happened. But, like, buying against the lows is never the worst idea. Like, that's good location at minimum. And in this case, you can see this is exactly what I love to see, which is the OBV divergence was coming in right here. That confirmed, on the break through that W level. So like somewhere right here, we got confirmed OBV divergence. Then you can see we got over the 200, but never really got like the same kind of bullish momentum. We just sort of started emming out and got below it again. So I think the trend is still down, but it's trying to change. It's trying to turn up. The 200 starting to point up, and we are just in good location. So, for like an investment, I think that it's kind of like knife catchy here a little bit because I see OBV breaking down here. There's an M in OBV. It's not, I don't see a W here or anything, but I do like location. So if you like this coin, I could see nibbling on it right here because you are just buying against the lows, hoping that these lows hold, and they might. And there's a relatively decent reason to think they would. But overall, it looks kind of down pointing to me. Now, if like swing trades and stuff, I'm sure that they're looking at, clearly, like if you just draw some fibs, the location's good. So, if we took those fibs, you can see we came down into 78.6, and that's where we found support here. So definitely good trade location, anywhere right in there. And no W. There is a little W, especially if you're drilling down even farther. Like we could go to like a 1 hour chart and you'll see that W there. So I could certainly see taking shots off that W. It's a little late now, but that level, you can see how they even, that looks like a pretty nice setup there because, and maybe you bought that W, even though I don't know, that's not really a W because we did break the lows, but this W came in, they broke it out, and then you can see they gave you two candles to get filled on a check of that W. So this is a perfect example of waiting for like a retest, we call it, price broke out. So when this was a green candle, like this ugly candle was fully green right here, and this would have been like FOMOing in, you'd have seen this big candle and you just went and bought that, and you would have been okay today, but you would have had to go underwater for a couple days. But nice retest. Also, the moving averages crossed and they retested the 13 here, which I always like to see. But so anyway, on a 1 hour chart, you'd had a couple hours to take this trade, and I could see like buying that level there and maybe risking all the way to that low. You could risk to that low. It's sort of up to you, but you can see a 2-to-1 is just right there. So like there's a gap right there. So I definitely see that as a nice trade. It's just a little late right here. Yeah, that gap right there seems like a reasonable target. So turns out that's exactly 2-to-1 basically. It's not, yeah, there's, so yeah, like basically a 2-to-1 right to that gap. So that's nice. And also this old M top support, or resistance. There's obviously some that's not an unreasonable target is all I'm saying. Oh, that's kind of a magnet in itself. So we'll see if it gets up there, but that's a nice trade right there. Buying it right here, I don't know. Maybe you could try to get another fill on a test of the W level again. I don't really love it right here. I think if you were trying to get long this thing now, all you can really do is try to look for some sort of continuation trade, which would be like, you know, ABCD type thing. So, you know, like wherever, like kind of like Collins pump chaser zone, you draw like your fibs here. That's 50% levels at 343. And so any kind of structural, you know, setup here, and that would be your next opportunity. Like it would have to come back and, you know, start Wing out here, and then you can maybe get long here looking for a move, you know, ironically up to the same place. Well, I guess I just drew right back down to the W. That's why. So that's funny. So the W is 38.2, or well, it's like 50% level. So I guess I could have drawn that a little higher. This could come in a little bit higher, like maybe up there. But point being, you can't take that. You know, you missed this trade, so you got to wait for the next continuation trade. And this is like something where, like, you know, we like to use our THG algorithm. And do I have that here? We could look at THG really quick. Yeah, I think I do. Let's put this on the screen here. So, you know, we have this trading algo that Paul made, which all of our members get if you're a member of our premium room on Discord. And this is a trend continuation type. This is a trend setup algo. And so like I have it on hourly here. It's still showing bear on, so there's no setup on the hourly here. But if we went to like a 5-minute chart, you could start seeing how, I mean, the red background's set for hour, so this would probably turn, if I set it for 5 minutes, it would probably be green already, but you can kind of see how as this W broke out here, we started getting our green, you know, our green lines coming in, and basically buying against that line right there. You'd have been long from here would be the first point of getting long with a stop. You know, I like to have my stop like a step lower, but you know, that's up to you. And then this trade's already almost done. Well, if you're hunting 2-to-1s, you can see how that would have been a nice trade up to 2-to-1 there. You know, hunting higher would be totally reasonable because there's plenty of room for this thing to move higher. And you would have also had some more entries up here. You could have taken that entry there. But for right now, still kind of chasing. So you still got to wait for a pullback even on THG. But I could still see taking this, you know, the next fill. Or sorry, the next buy level we get. But keep in mind, my THG is not set up for 5 minutes, but it's still close enough. This would turn green sooner probably than it has, you know. I just have mine set up for 1 hour charts right now, and I don't feel like changing it at the moment. But that's cool. So yeah, if you are interested in that algo, that's, I mean, the only real point I was trying to make with that is that's sort of a trend continuation trade. You know, we like to look at setups as like, you know, range trades, continuation trades. Those are kind of like the two types of setups that you know, we shoot for. And this one, you know, this is like a breakout trade buying this W. You're just basically buying the bottom of the range. Now we've established an uptrend, so we'd be hunting for continuation patterns, which are making an assumption that we're going to break wherever the high comes in here. And keep in mind, this high might come in higher. And it looks like Paul said he's long on the 1 hour chart. So Paul's probably long from this level here. Most likely. Cool. So there's CVX. A couple other ones I'll move on to. I'll just cover a few more here. One, I'll just mention AGLD because I've been talking about it so much, and man, they knocked it back down pretty good. And I suppose now it's just a question of whether you're in it to win it or not. I mean, they definitely, you know, they launched this thing up. People were banging out second doubles on it. I didn't quite get to my second double level. I got one double, but I started buying this thing back. Like, I'm not saying, God knows you shouldn't just copy me, but you got to do what you're going to do. But I mean, I'll zoom out to the weekly for one really quick, just because, you know, I've been talking a lot about this chart because it's just perfect. Perfect weekly W came in here at the base on OBV divergence. You know, like when we were making new lows here at the end of the bear market, OBV started making higher lows. we actually confirmed the OBV divergence on this run up here, and then I started buying on the pullback here. Another example of like retesting. This is just like a daily example of that nice retest of the W. They even gave you a couple chances. Actually, you had weeks and weeks to buy that level actually. So, and to be fair, I posted in my room right here that I was working my bids. So I gave everybody plenty of time to, anybody that was paying attention to my room on Discord. I posted this chart when it was, I think, that candle, and I said I had my bids working. At that point it was like, that was the range. Like it looked like something like that. And I just said I had my bids down here at 61.8, 78.6, and 88.6, which in this case, I only got filled on 2 of them. I never got filled down here. I still have that bid working. I have a bid working down at 28 cents, 28.7. But you can see the end result. But now is the question of like, does this huge sell-off scare you out of buying this? Or are you willing to take a shot? And me personally, I'm willing to still, of course I'm adding to my first double. And I went and bought 61.8. And then I actually had, I guess that's on a, I got, oh, they are right here, bids. There's my bids. Yeah. So I have 78.6 and then I have a bid against the old W level, which is a little bit above 88.6. So I usually I hunt for around 88.6 for that bid, but if I can find a place where the previous market structure is in line with 78.6 to 88.6, I'll usually work my bid right at that level. So in this case, it's a little higher than 88.6, so that's where my bid is. And this is just me. I like to kind of, it's like almost like dollar cost averaging. I'm just sort of like gonna nibble as this thing kind of comes down. And then if you want to be more conservative, anyway, so point being, we hit mountain, man. This thing came all the way back down. I still like it. OBV hasn't really broken down yet. Like, sure, we dipped here, but there's no M or anything yet. And this thing has 70 million coins out. Seems cool. I'm totally down to be a buyer. I like the idea of buying anywhere below 78.6 with the acknowledgement that 61.8. I mean, I am acknowledging that buying right here, you could have to go quite a bit underwater. This thing might have to come all the way back down to the lows, maybe even farther, but I think there's a pretty good chance these lows will hold. So I still like this one. I don't know why I keep talking about it. Mostly just because it's one of the nicest charts. I love to see like, that W's awesome. And then now we have this bigger W that broke out too. So I think there's a relatively good chance that this low will hold going forward. So I think another thing to do that I like doing is just drawing a trend line off the W. So you could draw it right there based on hitting the trend line off of the lows of the W, the first W. And you can see how we kind of came back and checked it here. And as long as we sort of stay above that, like maybe I don't get filled on my last bid, maybe we start bouncing there. But as long as in general we kind of try to hold that, doesn't mean we won't lose it a little bit. But what I don't want to see is an M on the other side. It starts M'ing out over here, then it'll probably go to new lows. But as long as we just kind of stay relatively bullish through here, I think it's a good buy. Not financial advice. You buyers, you do what you want, but this is one that I like, so I started with that one. And we're up 5. They finally caught a bounce, man. This thing was just looking like, geez, like on the daily chart. Even yesterday, there was a point where this candle was fully just like looking to close at the bottom here, and it just couldn't buy any friends. And you can see we're bouncing here, and funny enough, we are bouncing off of key support levels here off these W's. There's daily W's like right there. That is the low. That's a great level. Like, so actually, like if you were more of like maybe you're trying to swing trade this, and you might have moved your fibs over to, whoops, that's not what I meant to do. Like maybe you moved your fibs to there because you're like trying to swing trade this. You can see how 78.6 is right there and the W level right here. Those would have been good levels. Even that's not the worst level. Either one of those there seem like good levels to hit to me. Looking for a bounce. And sure enough, that bounce is coming in. Now we probably will still roll over more, but who knows? Maybe it bounces a little higher. Anyway, I like that one. Let me look at the requests really quick here. Not too many requests actually, so I'll just talk about a couple more that I like and then probably wrap it up here in a few minutes. What would be like one that one of our members shared a couple names with us yesterday that are kind of low coin counts. I think this one had like 40 million coins. Definitely like cryptocurrencies that have like 100 million or less. That's always kind of a cool find, especially in this day when like Doge has however many billions. Many cryptocurrencies have billions of max supply, but these low coin count ones are a little easier to pump, so we like those. This one is ERN, and I kind of liked it. I think very simply, you can see the weekly W came in back here and we've held the lows. So like we do have like a nice base being set here. Had a couple pumps up to form this range. I think you could have easily banged some doubles out off of these lows if you were in there buying. Now it's just a question of like, do we have good structure or not? We have, OBV is trending higher, which I like. It's not particularly in divergence. It wasn't really in divergence on these lows here, moving to lows, but it's trending higher, and it technically W'd here. That's a giant W. This big old move there actually did confirm right there, so that's nice. And then really now it's just a question of like, are you the type of person that will, I have no problem with buying against the lows here. Like, if you were to draw fibs off the range, you can see 88.6 is, we're sitting right at 88.6 right now. So that's 88.6. So we're literally sitting on 88.6 right now. So I couldn't fault anybody for location buying right here, just based on the fact that we're down against the old lows. You have, that's $1.53 or 54 we're at right now, and the low is $1.15. So not too much of a risk window, pretty small. And of course, if you buy at $1.53 right here, your double level's at 306, which is these candle body highs essentially, a little lower. So I like that actually. Like to be able to get a double on a move back to that level. That all makes sense to me. So I wouldn't fault anybody for buying right here, although it's just kind of like what kind of investor are you here? Because me personally, I don't see any structure yet. So you can see that that's basically a double, a little more than a double. So I like that. Don't even need to move to new highs. We just need to stay in this range, and that's probably 61.8 of that range, really. Like if you drew fibs even from there down, well, that's even better. It's below 61.8. So a move back to 61.8 of the range would give you a double. So you can't, that's all good. So we have location is good, and I think momentum's decent. We could probably even look at other divs like like I have 5 potential divs here, so they're all potential. Probably takes a move through this level to confirm those. And I drew that line there because that is the weekly W, which is my next point, is like, is there any structure here? And the answer is no right now. But you could argue there's a W here. I don't really like it. Like that's technically a little W, something like that, because we did break through. So that's up to you. I don't really like those tight little W's, but that's good sign. The base is in. And I also don't really like, I don't really like this W either. If we just turn around and break through this highs, it would be a W. I don't know, like on a line chart, looks pretty ugly. That's pretty V-bottomy. Not very, there's technically W's coming in there, but it just looks kind of V-bottomish. So personally, I prefer to wait for just a nice clean W to come in somewhere. And wherever that happens, I think it'll probably be right around these levels if it comes in. If we just crap out, then you just have to be more patient and wait. But that's me. So I'll probably say that about any coin. I think anytime you can wait for the weekly W to come in nice and clean, you're better off. But I like it. I like this one in general. So I'm watching this one. Like SNX is one that I've been talking about a lot, and this one's. This one, just waiting on a W as well. There is this W here, and I am trying to nibble here. I'm already long this thing, but I actually have a bid too at 243 just on this W because I just want to start accumulating it. I like this base that's building here. If you draw trend lines off the top, you can see that our, the downtrend is very much exhausted, and we've now started to put in Um, I mean, if you draw a trend line from there, where our W is still on this side, so maybe it still needs a little more time. But this little W is on the other side, so you can see that it's like kind of exhausted. But really, what I'm looking for here, one is OBV is in divergence, which first I look for location, and location's good. We're down against the old lows. I don't know what the history looks like on other places, but we're down against the old lows. We have OBV divergence here because we ticked to new low here, so we were making a lower low, and OBV went into divergence. So that's like reason number 2 is good. And then, of course, we have confirmed divergences on this indicator too. We had 4 confirmed back here at that low, and now we have 1 confirmed just OBV, which you can see. I think the OBV divergence that it's seeing is like even from that low to that low, making a new low. You can see OBV made a new higher low, and then we actually broke the W out. So that's a like that's basically this W here. That's what that's calling out. And so we have divergence. What we don't really have is a solid weekly W. And what I'd prefer to see happen, I think if you're going to be super conservative and patient, then it would be nice to just see this thing break out, make this wide weekly W, and then any kind of retest back into the range here would be buying opportunities to me. This is, you would basically just draw your reload zones. You could take that low if you want. I kind of like to take the original low. That's just me. But you could use any of these lows really. And, wherever that W breaks out to, just start hunting reload zones on the pullback. I really like the idea of that. So I like this one. I mean, hopefully you can just see the base. I mean, this is kind of what I'm looking for, right? You can see the W coming in. Nice wide base. It's not some janky little W like this. Like that is a W, but it's just kind of small and janky. And if you're trying to like bang out doubles and stuff, I think wider W's, or not even doubles, but hopefully down the road like 10Xers and things like that, you kind of want to see a nice base setup. So anyway, I like SNX. I was going to just double check on CoinMarketCap really quick to see if there's any history there that's longer. I'm curious because I don't think I've done that. I can't remember how old this coin is, but yeah, you could see, I mean, there is a lot more history, but we're still basically down against the lows. That is 270, and of course the old lows, well, that's going all the way back to 2019, but it's only like, less than 25 cents. So, could be some downside here if these lows don't hold. But the $1.30 low that's there, $1.20, hopefully we hold those lows. But of course, like all things, there's some risk involved here. If we lose those lows, then it could have to come all the way back down to some of these. I mean, that high was 120 right there. So I like that. You can see how the old weekly W, the old big weekly W broke out there, and that was $1.39. $1.44 was that level. And so we basically came right down into that $1.48 right there. See how we just checked that W and then now we're basing? It's a great sign. So I like that one. And let me see. AMP. Eddie's saying AMP. Let's look at AMP. Is this still scenario or whatever? I mean, I think this is different now, but man, it's on Coinbase. It's funny. I don't. Okay, so yeah, here's a weekly W. Not surprised from old Eddie here. He's hunting weekly W's. You can see this one's broken out already. So that's the W right there. You can see it probably a little better on a line chart. Nice little, pretty wide. It's not just like 4 candles. It's got some beef to it. You can see 4 potential divergences. I gotta call out OBV here though, because I pretty much only look at OBV for the most part for these altcoin weekly and daily charts. I've found that OBV keeps me out of trouble, and you can see it turning for sure, but it was trending down hard and then it just turned on a dime. So personally, I'd like to see this kind of W out here. I don't see a W here yet, and I don't see divergence, but that's okay. I mean, me personally, I need to see a W for me to get excited, but I mean, damn, it's like 100%. You can see that we are weekly Wing out, and of course, any buys against that level there. I mean, that's a very tight risk window. It's 24% uh, to buy that level. And of course, a double's just like barely. I mean, geez, that's a 600% move all the way up there. But like a double's just going to be, it's like a blip on the screen. That looks like 50% level of the range. So anytime you can bang a double out, I was talking about Mountain Man earlier, 61.8, but anytime you can hit a double before 50% level, that's a great trade. I mean, that's a very sensible trade, I should say, because we'll probably get back up to that 50% level bare minimum in the next like bull cycle. But shit, this thing could go a lot higher, obviously, too. Excuse me. Damn, this thing has tons of upside. I want to check it out on CoinMarketCap really quick for the same reason. Just see if it's got a. This one has a lot more down though to go. So, or wait, I'm not looking at the. No, it doesn't. Yeah, see, this one's all the way down against the lows. So that's good. Wow. So is this actually this? No, this is. I feel like this is different than there used to be. AMP was like an old. Yeah, this is. I think they went away, the original AMP, and then this replaced it. I think something totally different, but it has been around since back in 2020. So I don't know. Nonetheless, hopefully you can at least see this thing's washed out in good location. And if you drew like trend lines off that top, you'll see we're way past that trend line. So I like that one. Like I said, I just personally like to see OBV look a little bit better. That's just me. So that's cool. I do like it though, Eddie, and I've seen some of your other charts lately too, and you and I have. I mean, I'm interested in a lot of the same coins that you are. The only difference being that you can shop a little bit more than me because I'm kicked off Binance. But anyhow, coming up on an hour actually, so probably cut it here. Maybe I'll share one more. Maybe even I'll just share a couple that I have bought really quick and. Yeah, because I have bought, let's see, I bought NCT. This was adding on a second car. But, this one, you can see the difference in OBV here. This is just me. This is my setup. But, as we came down into the lows here, you could see OBV went into divergence. Well, basically right there to there. And we confirmed the divergence there. And then, then you started seeing other divergences come in too. But then now you can just see OBV's trending up. That's what I personally like to see. Like we're even in divergence again now as like we've come down and made new lows in the pullback here. So, yeah, see you later, Eddie. Anyhow, OBV pointing up. Love to see that. Me personally, I went and bought, there's like a daily W in here, I'm sure, that I was originally taking shots of. It was kind of ugly looking, but I was in there buying. Actually, I'm sorry. No, I was buying here. Oh, I'm a little confused, actually. I don't think I bought it there, but I did draw my line there for some reason. But nonetheless, I got a double here. I can't remember if I got filled there or there now. But more importantly, it would be now. Now you can see there's a weekly W in here. And to be fair, it's kind of ugly because this is just like all wick. But nonetheless, it was a weekly W, and I have my OBV divergence. So like for my setup, again, going back to my setup, I like to see OBV divergence, good location, and a weekly W. And so now that we've broken the W, any pullbacks into reload zones, and I'm happy to buy something like this because it has all the fixins. And it even had like other divergences too here on this indicator. But I just went in and bought. Looks like my second car was here at like around 966. And I just kind of bought when it pulled back, I just bought that, which is probably just, in reload zones of this range now. Yeah, you could see 78.6 is what I bought here. So nothing too exciting, but, just nice base set, and hopefully won't lose the lows like all of these. We'll just see. It could. And then I bought fourth is another one I bought, which you can see again too. The OBV is just very uppy. To be fair, not great structure here. I was a little bit, I'm kind of playing this W here, but I don't love it. It was just I wanted to start nibbling on this one, and I like location. I clearly had clearly there's been OBV divergence back here on that low, moved to a low, and then we continued trending higher on OBV. Even had divergence on well, not really so much there, but we definitely have it here. Most recently, which is what I want to see on the move to the new low. OBV just kept moving higher, and if you zoom in a little bit, I think it's yeah, you can see how the low held. So it's there's a W from here to, whether you want to call it there or even here. And then we broke that W. So now we have confirmed divergence and technically a weekly W, but damn, it's ugly. I wouldn't say that's my best work there, but that is a W breakout. Personally, I'd I'd still like to see this thing do something better looking or even wider, even really wide. So probably still needs time, but it's just something that I was nibbling on this week. And I think I'll call it a day here. That's an hour. And I'll just finish with there's no more requests in the chat room right now. So I'll just say that, I will be back next Tuesday for the public too at the same time. And if you do have names you want to look at, you can get them ready for me and just post them in the chat. And also we are closing we have our Discord community. And so feel free to join that. There's a link in the bottom of this video. And I think at the end of the month, Paul's going to be shutting down the public link. And so if you wait until August, you'll have to message Paul on Twitter or something to get an invite, because we're going to shut down just the automatic public links just because of spam and whatnot. But you're still welcome to join our free room. And then of course we do have a paid community, a paid room too, I guess you'd call it, where we do a lot of kind of more scalp oriented and day trading and swing trading oriented trades, not so much long-term investing. I have a tendency to talk about the long-term stuff in these shows, but the group itself is more focused on trying to all grow as professional traders. Everybody in the group is putting the work in to try to do the best they can to be be somebody that's consistently showing up every day to take setups in the marketplace. So it's a little focused on hardcore trading as opposed to just investing type stuff. But if you want to check that out, please do. And I guess last, I should ask anybody to like and subscribe if you think we're doing anything useful for you guys. Feel free to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are trying to grow it a little bit, and we're going to be making more content. And currently our content is mostly for the public. Let's see, we have Paul. I think Paul's making a daily plan video every day around the London session. So that's kind of talking levels for the day, seeing where we can, seeing where we're at for the day for day trade type stuff. And then on Tuesdays as well, Stefan does a live scalping session. So it's kind of it's not a stream where he's necessarily talking the whole time, but he's hunting setups and taking setups and showing people the process for taking scalps in the market. Mostly crypto and some traditional market, like indexes and gold. And I don't know if he trades gold, actually. Definitely the S&P, and probably some other things too. But also very much Binance swaps, Binance perpetual swaps is kind of the focus there if you're a crypto person. And then I'm just kind of babbling on Tuesdays, just kind of like I just did, just talking about whatever I'm thinking about. And I'll do that every Tuesdays. And then on Sundays, Paul and I have another show, Sundays at 16 UTC, where we're basically just walking people through our long-term investment plan that we've created for altcoins. And we're just buying coins like this, actually. I'm not sure if this one's not on that list, but we do things like Maker was one we just banged a double out here on this last week. So, we were in here buying Maker down in this dip and selling it at $1,200 on a double. You can see this is an amazing looking chart in my opinion too. Nice OBV divergence. And now we're just looking for pullbacks to rebuy it. So we talk about stuff like this on Sundays at 16 UTC. So, and also with that, we have, like this Sunday, we're going to have Miku, one of our members, come on, and he's going to share our updated trade log and spreadsheet for this plan here, this long-term altcoin investment plan. And we have the current spreadsheet we have is available in our Discord. There's a channel called Weekly Crypto Review, and you can grab that there and see everything that we've done. And also make a copy of the spreadsheet to use for your own trading plan. It's really cool. But if you want to hold, in a week, we're basically going to launch his new spreadsheet, which is a little bit, well, it's just an upgrade. It'll have the same information as far as our trading plan, but it's just an upgraded version that now pulls price data in from everywhere. So you can pretty much get any altcoin on there, and it's really cool. So check that out on Sunday if you want to see that, and then that'll be available for everybody to copy and use for themselves too if you want. So thanks, Miku, again for making that, and your team as well, Mercurio, and well, he had a whole group of people helping him. So yeah, really nice. It's a really nice spreadsheet. Really cool. It shows your stats and everything. So check that out, and he'll be on this Sunday to talk about that a little bit. So check us out then, 16 UTC. And with that said, I'll just wish you all a good rest of your day, and a reminder that tomorrow's a big news event, so we'll see what happens there, and I'll just leave it at that. So with that said, you all take care, and I will see you this Sunday. Bye-bye.